The different structural elements are beam, column, footings and slab. How does the load get transferred to the soil? First, the slab gets transfer its loads to the beam, and then beam transfer its load to the column, and from column the load gets transferred to the foundation, and from foundation the load gets transferred to the soil. This is how the load distribution pattern of any structural frame structure. Now, likewise in a skeletal form also the same load distribution happens, and likewise in a building also the same load distribution pattern occurs. Whereas one thing we have to keep it in the mind is that always we need to design for a strong column and weak beam. That is always better, because if we design a strong beam rather than a strong column, then what happens is that immediate failure happens in the column, which leads to a disaster and which leads to destruction of the structure. Therefore, always it is necessary to always design the strong column and weak beam. Therefore, while designing like that, what happens is that hinge formation occurs. Hinges is nothing but plastic hinge, which is nothing but allowing rotation at that region. Deformation of a section of a beam where plastic bending occurs. For example, consider this as a beam. So whenever I apply the load, what happens to this scale? The scale is getting bent. So this bending motion, what happens is that during the plastic region, plastic hinges start forming in the beam, which leads to collapse of the beam rather than the collapse of the column. Therefore, it is always essential to go for a weak beam rather than a strong beam. In this slide, I am going to explain about the stress, strain, Young's modulus and the stress strain profile. So for this, stress is nothing but load by area. So I'll take a pencil. In this pencil, now I'm going to apply the load. So what is happening here? Stress is induced. So stress is induced because of this small area. So as the area of cross section reduces, the stress increases. So if I point out this tip to my body here, what happens? The stress is induced, which is very much. Whereas if the same pencil, the cross section is larger, and now if I apply the stress, what happens is that my stress is getting reduced. Therefore, as the area of cross section increases, my stress is reduced. So which is inversely related. Next is strain. Strain is nothing but change in length by original length. Suppose, let me take this as an example. So original length of this rubber band is this much. Whereas after applying some load, what happens? The elongation of the rubber band takes place. So the change in length to that of the original length is nothing but strain. And the combination of stress and strain is nothing but the Young's modulus. So stress and strain of any element. So now I am taking the stress and strain component of an element. What happens is that within the elastic limit, the stress is directly proportional to the strain. Means when I apply the load to the beam or any structural element, when I am applying the load within the elastic limit, it comes back to its original position. Whereas after this elastic limit, suppose if I keep on loading the beam, what happens is that it goes for a permanent deformation. This permanent deformation occurs only in the plastic region. The next important structural element is beam. So the beam is the main component which transfers the load to the column, and then the column transfers the load to the foundation, and then from foundation to the ground, foundation to the soil. So now the load, here you can see the timber here, and here you can see the load which is acting on the beam. Now what happened is that whenever the load is applied on a beam, what happens is that the beam will offer some resistance. This resistance we call it as a shear resistance or shear force or bending moment. So shear force is nothing but it is the algebraic sum of forces to the right side of the section is equal to the left side of the section, which is nothing but the resistance offered by the beam. For example, if I beat this part, what happened? Immediately there will be red rashes, which is nothing but the force which I applied on my body. In turn, my body is reacting, which is giving some resistance. Likewise, each beam produces its own shear force as well as its own bending moment. So this, in order to counteract this shear force, in our structure we are providing the stirrups. You can see the stirrups. As well as here you can see the beam which is filled with concrete. Inside the beam you have the reinforcement, and the reinforcement is tied with this stirrup. The main important concept of stirrups is that it takes up the shear force. And using the analysis software such as StatPro, ETABS, you can analyze what is happening internally in the building. For example, if our legs get fractured, what happens? We take X-ray. Likewise, here we analyze the internal part of the structure. Likewise, we can see the shear force and bending moment through the software. So if I take one beam, if I double click using the software, I can easily generate the shear force, and according to the shear force, I can provide the stirrups in the beam. Now the bending moment. The algebraic sum of moments on right side of the section is equal to the left side of the section. So this moment is, I can also define it that force into perpendicular distance. So whenever the load is acted on the structure, moment is created. So this moment is calculated in the form of reinforcement. So always the bottom portion of the beam we provide with the tension zone, and the top portions we provide with the compression zone, where we provide too many number of rods in the tension zone and very quite small number of rods for the compression zone in order to take up the cracks. So for beam, in order to take up the bending moment, I am providing the reinforcement pattern. So therefore now we have studied about the shear force. So to take up the shear force, we are providing stirrups, and to take up the bending moment, we are providing the reinforcement. So two things we have studied. And here also you can see the bending moment profile using the software, how the entire structure is showing its bending moment profile, and keeping that moment only we are designing the reinforcement. And you can also see the reinforcement here, the beam as well as the column, the beam reinforcement getting joined with the column reinforcement. So here now I am going to talk about the thumb rule for slab thickness, beam thickness. So firstly we are going to see about the slab. So for as a thumb rule, with experimental things we have found that always say for 1 feet span we can provide 1 centimeter thick of slab. Likewise, let's take the length of the beam as 5 meters. So for 5 meter I can provide 15 feet, that is 15 centimeter thickness of the depth of the slab. So this is nothing but a small thumb rule. Instead of calculating the entire slab design, a small thumb rule can be reminded. Next is beam. How to calculate the depth of the beam? The depth of the beam can be easily calculated. For 1 meter span, we can keep 7 centimeter or 8 centimeter depth of the beam. Therefore, we can provide it like 42 centimeter, 48 centimeter. So the depth of the beam can be taken it as 42 to 48 centimeter. So from this session you have understood what is shear force, what is bending moment, and why we are providing the stirrups, why we are providing the reinforcement, and the thickness of the slab and the thickness of the beam. So depth of the beam also we have calculated. Thank you.